Hi guys, so today I'm going to be taking a look at this here small form factor computer from Compaq. It's called a Deskpro. This computer was manufactured in 1998, and as you can see it's a pretty small computer. This is a pretty standard form factor for Compaq and HP to make computers in. Even some other brands like Dell also used similar form factor. So let's take a look at it. Let's start at the front. So on the front we don't have a lot here actually. We have our power button and a power LED and a hard drive activity light. We have space here for an optical drive, which it doesn't have in this specific model, and we have our floppy drive, which is ancient technology by now, just like this computer. Okay, so besides there's really nothing much, just the locks for removing the panel, these little buttons. And then as we come around to the back, we have space for our power connection, a COM port, that would be an audio jack for like headphones or speakers, a mic, two USB ports, probably like USB 1.1 or something, our parallel port for our old printers, a network port, don't know the speed of that, another COM port, connection for our mouse and our keyboard, and a VGA output for video. That's pretty much all there is to see on it on the outside. So yeah, let's get into it. Open it up. So as I said, there's buttons on each side, on the outside of it, that you just have to press and hold and just basically pull it out. Yeah, now it won't come. Just press it, give it a little force and it will open right up. And that's basically the whole cover. Yeah, and here's a sticker that indicates some of where things are on the motherboard. Okay, we can put that aside. Let's get started in here. So, inside of the computer we have quite a few things. So first thing we have is our hard drive up here. We have space on top of the hard drive for an optical drive. Now this is the laptop style optical drive, so it's those thin ones that it was able to take. This particular model didn't have one in, like I said. It has its floppy drive right here, and then power supply on this side, you can see. Okay, then we will have to lift up this thing. It just has a hinge on the front. Okay, and there you can now see we have our CPU right over here, our memory over here, speaker there. Okay, but let's go on with this. You can take out this card here as well. This is like a kind of like a sister board, riser card, whatever you would want to call it. It has two PCI slots on it and one ISA slot on it. Yeah, well, but it only has two slots on the back, so you have a choice between using either the PCI or the ISA slot you have on this one. I guess that's not too bad. Hey, now we can lift up the power supply in the same way basically, just also hinges over. And now we can see that our power supply has a proprietary connector on here. This connector here is a 14 pin, not like normal motherboards that had a 20 pin back in the day. So yes, it was completely proprietary. Okay, now we can unplug all of our cables. This is our IDE cable for our hard drive, floppy cable for floppy drive. This is for the speaker. It has a built-in speaker, this computer. And this is for all of the I/O and everything. I believe that's everything. And then the entire motherboard tray can slide out towards the back of the computer. Okay. Let's take a look at it. So, now we've got the motherboard here. So first thing is the CPU. The CPU does not have its own fan on it. It uses the power supply's fan to cool the entire system. That's why it's designed like this. Let's remove the CPU and see if we can. There we go. Just push the tabs back just like on any other Pentium 2 buttons. It's set with the board horizontally. Parallel. It's now parallel or horizontal. It's horizontal. But it's flat. Now this is a Pentium 2 CPU with just a custom cooler on it, not the standard Pentium 2 cooler. That's that. It uses SD RAM, got one stick in it. Yeah, that's just standard SD RAM. It has 2 slots for RAM here. Okay, so let's take a look at the motherboard itself. So on the motherboard here, we have a couple of things. Let's go through it. This part of the motherboard over here is the VRM for the CPU. Then if we go along this side here, you will see you have your IDE connector and your floppy connector. It has a small IDE connector, like the laptop type, to connect that optical drive that it is able to take up here. That is a laptop standard one. And yeah, it has an extra IDE for expansion as well. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, we have our 2 RAM slots. That's just normal SD RAM. Then we have our north bridge and our south bridge on it. We have our CMOS battery, CMOS jumper. And then we come around to here. Let's show this now. This chip is a Super I/O chip basically. It controls some of the outputs and stuff, the extra stuff it has on the back, like the extra COM ports and the audio and stuff like that. Well, the audio has its own processor over here actually. So yeah, that won't be included in this chip. We also have this here chip. This is a network controller chip for the onboard network that it has. Back in these days, the network controllers were not integrated into the rest of the chipset, so they had a separate one. So let's see here. It has an ATI 3D graphics processor, which is kind of a nice processor for these days if you consider this is a small form factor PC. And then it has some memory over here. These memory chips are pretty small in today's standards. They're 512 kilobit each, but it does have an option for expansion if you were to want to expand. Let's see what else is there. This is just for the riser part to plug into. I'm not sure if this is a standard connector of some sort. I do not recognize it, so yeah. Let's see, we also have our BIOS chip over here. This would be your BIOS. Yeah, this is your ROM for your BIOS. And then we have some switches over here. If you remember, these were a thing on many of the old motherboards, where you had to set the clock speed of your processor manually, and you could even use this to overclock the chip. So yeah, that's the thing. This connector is just for the LEDs and power button on the front. I think that's pretty much everything we have to cover over here. So that's the motherboard. Let's take a closer look at the power supply now. Some things I want to point out about the power supply. First of all, this is not a very powerful power supply at all. It's only a 90-watt power supply, and it hardly has any connections on it. I mean, it has, coming out of it, except for the motherboard connector, 2 grounds here, one positive 12 and one positive 5 volts. So really not much. And that powers everything here. If you look in here, you will see we have these cables running from there to the hard drive and then out to the floppy drive as well. This built-in speaker over here is just for basic sound. I mean, it's more than like the sound that you would get from some others, but it's not the kind of thing that you would play music through. You wouldn't want to listen to music on this. It's not just a beeper, but it's a buzzer, you know, like some computer has, but it's not the best speaker in the world. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we have to look at on this thing hardware wise. So now we're gonna have to put it all back together. So yeah, let's get this thing back together.
We could be holding up our light. We could be fighting for what's right. Or we could be falling to pieces. Under the bridge of fire burns, somewhere the pages start to turn, and somebody whispers, I need this. I will do anything just to make you see. Don't apologize for what's in your dreams. Maybe this time will be different. It's only us. It's only us.
And there you have it. That is my overlook on the hardware side of this computer. I will be doing software on it as well, but that will be in a separate video. So for now, please like and subscribe, and don't miss the follow-up video. I will be doing all kinds of software testing on it and all of that kind of stuff. For now guys, peace out.